Booyah!
Hello everybody, I'm here today to play. Oh my god, I'm not even gonna go for the introduction. What the fuck? I get so many views every time I make a TF2 comparison. You guys are awesome. Like, seriously, all of my videos except for my free to play versus pay to play one have so many views. Like, all of them are the top viewed ones except for free to play versus pay to play. Like 500 to like 1,000 views, some of them. The top one I think is 800 views, which is, I think it's the heavy one. Seriously, holy crap guys, thanks. Now I know, I understand why some of them get a few dislikes, because I admit some of these can be quite mediocre. I admit that I made a various amount of mistakes, but during the times I've made these, like for example, one big mistake I've always made when I've made these is that I always tend to say which one's better. But the thing with TF2 is there's no straight up better one. There's always going to be one that's better in some way, but there's no straight up better weapon. And one weapon is not straight up better than the others. That's why my sticky bomb launcher got so many dislikes, because in fairness, the Scottish Resistance is a good weapon, and I painted it as a kind of average, not great weapon, and I really shouldn't have done that. But I've learned from my mistakes, and hopefully this video will be slightly better, and I will be playing on a slightly different angle of Demo Man. I will be talking about the grenade launchers. There are about 4 grenade launchers in the game right now. For a while there was just like 1 or 2, but now they've added a few, and it's a bit more substantial to talk about. The 4 grenade launchers, if you're wondering, is the default grenade launcher, as you know, the Loch-n-Load, the loose cannon, and the iron bomber. Now the iron bomber is the newest of the 4. It came out recently in December, and really I haven't had enough time to really get used to it like the other 3, but I do have a general idea on how it works. Now starting off, I can't say much about the grenade launcher. It's pretty good. It has the default 80 damage when you hit him directly, has about 30 to 40 splash damage. It does what a grenade launcher expects you to do. It does what you expect it to do. There's no surprises, no cool perks. It just kills shit. And for some people, that's great. But on to the next one is the loose cannon. Now the loose cannon is interesting because in general, by itself, the loose cannon can't kill shit. I'm not going to say it can, because it can't. Really, the loose cannon, the main ability is its knockback. Even when you double dunk a person, you don't kill them. Like, there is several occasions during this where I don't kill a person, I just use my sticky bomb launcher to finish him off. As great as the loose cannon is in team fights, when they all go flying backwards and you have a great field advantage because of it, it doesn't do anything to actually kill a person unless they're close enough to being dead as it is, or you double dunk them and they're not full health. Because even then, like, I had to fire a fair few loose cannon grenades in order to get any kills. But if you fire it in a team fight, you see the sheer decimation it causes, because people tend to stay in groups in this game. So when they jump up into groups, the easiest thing is to fire a few grenades at them and they will just scatter. It's like watching rats on a fucking subway. They just go everywhere, and it is probably the greatest use I can see for the loose cannon, like especially on points. Like on points, and if it's a small point and it's on an elevated area, they're all gonna fall off. All of them. But apart from its knockback, it's kind of a gimmicky weapon. Like, I have to admit that it isn't exactly the most efficient weapon to use damage wise, unless you get a crit. If you get a crit, it's fucking amazing. But otherwise, I have to say, all in all, unless you adore its knockback and you want to be a team player, knocking back enemy opponents and saving people on your team, the loose cannon proves not to be as efficient damage wise. It is still a very viable weapon if you want to use it for its knockback, and it's even a fun, just jokey weapon to mess around with, just to mess with people, because people do not like being knocked back that much, and double dunking is so fun. On to the next one. The Loch-n-Load is probably the most efficient damage wise in my opinion. Because of its high damage span, if you are efficient at direct hitting, use it. Like, it is so good. Before, when it only had 2 grenades, it was pretty good. You could get a fair amount of kills, but now that it has 3, you can kill a heavy very, very easily without a crit. Just fire 3 of them at a full health heavy, he will die. He won't even see it coming. Now, the only big drawback that you guys probably know about the Loch-n-Load is the fact that really, if you're not good at hitting him directly, it's the least user-friendly, in my opinion. The most user-friendly, I'd say, is the Loch-n-Load, but the least user-friendly, I'd say, is this. Because if you miss at all, it is merciless. It won't give you any damage whatsoever. So it's kind of an all-or-nothing kind of weapon, because either you do incredible with it, or you do terrible. Because if you are good at hitting him directly, and you're used to the faster trajectory, which it gives you, which is actually, by the way, a very, very useful trait, and it's very hard for pyros to deflect that, but if you are used to doing that, it is a very, very efficient and very powerful weapon, especially in direct hits. Like, most classes don't survive 2 grenades from it, and if you can fire one perfectly, usually you can fire a second just as perfectly. That's why, in my opinion, this is probably my favorite one, but this footage, in my opinion, does not give a candle to how much I like the weapon. Apart from the grenade launcher, this is probably my favorite one, because it's so efficient. But the thing is, my gameplay doesn't really hold a candle to it, because I don't really play great with it. I play better with the Loch-n-Load, so it's kind of ironic. But anyway, I recommend this weapon personally. But I'm not saying it's the best weapon, I'm just saying it's my favorite. The last weapon is the newest one. He's the new kid in town. He is the Iron Bomber. Now, the Iron Bomber is interesting. It's a weird kind of thing to put up with. The Iron Bomber, basically, it has no roll. It is it's a completely different projectile, because the thing with grenade launchers, all of the ones that fire, is they roll. Like the loose cannon, if you don't charge it up beforehand, it just rolls before it goes off, which is probably the biggest backdraw of that. Going on to this one doesn't have a roll whatsoever. It just stands still like a sticky bomb launcher that isn't manual. It goes off after a few seconds, just like the rest of them do. As a result, splash damage is actually a lot rarer, in my opinion, with this weapon. Splash damage is a rare thing in this weapon, because people don't run into things that are right in front of them like that unless you're brand new to the game and you don't know what's going on. If you do and you see those things, go the opposite direction, because usually it won't roll into you and you won't die as easily. However, the most interesting part of this weapon is, I think this is a glitch, because the sheer amount of damage it causes directly is almost as much as the Loch-n-Load. It's actually amazing. It causes 100 damage per direct hit. That's impressive. I have to say, that is a really, really cool thing to happen to a weapon. If you are only hitting people directly and you didn't want to use the Loch-n-Load because it's so merciless when it doesn't move, I'd recommend this, because it's actually a very, very good weapon for direct hits. It causes a serious amount of damage direct hits. It causes as much as the Loch-n-Load, almost, in my opinion. This could be a glitch, considering it doesn't mention a damage bonus on the actual weapon, but it is very possible that this was intentional, and it's actually a very, very powerful direct hitting weapon, or it could be the new trajectory. Anyway, the 10% slower firing speed is not exactly noticeable, really, compared to the other ones. Like, you know, all the weapons really don't have many noticeable drawbacks. That's the thing with these weapons. None of them really have terrible drawbacks that completely take away from it, except for the Loch-n-Load if you miss. That's kind of it. Anyway, that's all I wanted to get at. I'm not going to say which one is the best, because in my opinion, they all have their perks, and they all have their drawbacks. Neither of them are perfect. Well, unless you're used to the grenade launcher, then I'd recommend using that a little bit. But if you prefer direct hitting, you might use the Loch-n-Load. If you prefer knocking people back and just taking the piss with double donking, use the loose cannon. So, with that, I say that all of them really have their own perks, and I'm not going to decide a winner, because I think that was my biggest mistake in my last few videos, because sometimes they're just not straight up better, and it's really my opinion. Anyway, I'll see you again next time. If you liked what you saw, then I'll see you again next time. If you didn't like what you saw, then I won't see you next time. Feel free to like and subscribe. Bye.